Hey everyone, what's happening? Lex back today for another Brawl Stars video, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Championship Challenge June edition of what brawlers you should and should not play, how to play them, and how you can get the most wins possible here in the Championship Challenge. One thing to note is that they've taken away the boxes or the token drops that you get as you progress along the road. Instead, now you're going to be getting star points. So it's a little bit of a bummer if you were looking for progression. Pretty cool if you were hoping to save up for some of those skins, but it's different, just so you know. Once again, Spin LC, who is the captain of the world champions in Brawl Stars over at Tribe Gaming, he's lended his expertise to help me out with this guide. So we're going to be going over some of his best picks for each map, as well as I'll tell you who I think that you should play as well. Probably listen to him more than me, but actually most of our picks line up pretty well. So I'll tell you who to play, what some alternatives are, where to play them, and who not to play for each map. Hopping into the very first set that you're going to be coming into in Minecart Madness. Now, it's an interesting map, and there are some things that you should know about the map so that you have the best chance of winning. There's been a visual indicator added to Minecart Madness to let you know which way the minecart is going to go first. Is it going to go in your spawn or the enemy spawn? The way that you can tell is if when you spawn in, the mushrooms, the little tiny mushrooms are like right there in front of you, that means the minecart is going to spawn towards the enemy the first time. If you see that, that's good. That's going to give you the opportunity to grab hold of the center and maintain better pressure. So hopefully that rolls in your favor. Now, according to Spin, the very best brawlers that you can play on this map are Brock, Sprout, and Jackie, and they each have very specific roles. You're going to want to play Sprout in the mid. The reason being is he has so much utility to get over to the right-hand side, the left-hand side, and the middle. You're going to be able to shoot all of those areas and put pressure on everybody from every direction. In fact, Sprout is going to be all over this guide because he is still ridiculously good. Dare I say broken? It's not even that much of a leap. He's broken. He's really so good. If you have Sprout, feel free to play him in the mid. Now, Brock is going to play the lane and preferably over on the left-hand side, although you can play him on the right-hand side. The left-hand side, however, it's going to give you a little bit more of an angles to shoot across the map and into the enemy who's playing over on the right-hand side, the mid, and you can use some of that cover and your gadget to move around on the left-hand side over the wall. Even if you want to make an aggressive play, hop over the wall and get somebody, you can do that as well with Brock. Now, Jackie is going to be going complete aggro. She is going to want to push up towards the other side, the enemy side, using those walls to her advantage, positioning, keeping them out of, coming into the mid. If Jackie can hold her lane, or she can hold that aggro position up there, you're going to give the other team one heck of a time because they will not be able to get to that Sprout, and you're going to be able to sit there, collect the gems, throwing in some support fire, and pretty much walk away with the victory pretty easily. Now, of course, since this is the very first set in the Championship Challenge, the players that you're going to be playing against probably aren't going to be really high in trophies. They're not going to be the best players, so expect to see a lot of brawlers like Poco, Bull, Jesse, some of the more early on brawlers that you can get. For that reason, my picks for this would be pretty simple. Poco, double tank. You go with Poco, you have a Rosa, and you have a Jackie. You're pretty much just going to sit back with Poco with that DeCapo healing star power, healing up those tanks. You can use your gadget, run up there and use your gadget as well. They're going to hold the line for you while you sit back and collect the gems. The only real problem that you may have is if a thrower is able to evade you for a long time and they're sitting on the other side, but feel free to back up, juke those shots, control them completely at the front line, and you're going to absolutely dominate people. So that's the safe choice. Probably the best choice, especially in competitive, is the one that I mentioned first. Now, some alternatives that you can play in the mid are Piper, Jean, and of course, like I just said, Poco. Piper is going to be a more high-skilled option. If you're really good at hitting those shots, she can play there very well, but if you're just so-so, I would stray away from her and use a Jean or a Poco if you don't have Sprout. And finally, some brawlers you do not want to play on Minecart Madness are 8-Bit, Jesse, and Carl. Now, Carl's probably the best of the worst, but especially if you have tanks coming at you, he doesn't put out a ton of damage and you're constantly going to be falling back, and this is a map that you do not want to lose spawn position. You don't want to get spawn trapped, or else you're going to have to destroy all the walls right in front of you. It's just not going to be a good time. Now, after you've made it past Minecart Madness, you're going to be heading into Brawl Ball, and the map is going to be Penalty Kick. Once again, you're going to see a strategy repeated here, and the best comp that you can play for this, according to Spin, is Poco, Frank, and Jackie. Poco, double tank. Using that DeCapo star power with Poco, able to keep your tanks up. All you need to do in this point is gain position, slowly work your way in, and if you push them all the way back to that back wall, you should be able to completely control the map and find your opportunity to either walk it in with Poco healing you up or wipe them and score very easily. Where you're going to play them is Poco once again in the mid. He's going to be mainly focusing on keeping his 2 tanks alive using the capo and his gadget where needed. Now, it's okay for your tanks to play pretty aggressively, so be sure to follow them, keep up with them, and even if you feel like you're being really aggressive, that's maybe an okay thing because you're going to have so much heals that you're going to keep them alive for so long because they have just stockpiles of HP to draw from. Now, right or left lane, it doesn't really matter. Wherever you spawn is fine because it's a mirrored map. Frank can be on one side, Jackie can be on the other. Jackie has some really good opportunities to use her gadget to go after those brawlers that are squishier or ones that can't quite take her down before she can get to them. So use that gadget opportunistically and get some kills and or even a score. With Frank, you're going to want to use the Sponge Star power, having over 10,000 HP. With Poco healing you, with so much attention being drawn to Jackie as well, you are going to be very hard to kill. In fact, this entire team comp completely wrecks. You're going to have a hard time losing, especially against lower competition this early on in the championship challenge. Now, if you don't feel comfortable using this strategy, which you probably should, but let's say you don't, you can use Gene or Sprout in the mid. Sprout, of course, is always great on Brawl Ball for defensively blocking the goal, offensively, trapping somebody out of a location. Sprout's just good. He's good, so feel free to use Sprout as well. Now, some other good brawlers that you can play in the lane, according to Spin, are BB Rosa, Spike, Sandy, Ems, and Shelly. Of course, we got 3 big tanks in there that can do a ton of damage, play a lot of defense, and put a lot of pressure. Spike is just all around pretty darn good. Using those shots to get around the walls, he's going to work out pretty well. Ems has so much area control, and Sandy, basically the same thing. Some brawlers that you don't want to play are 8-Bit, Carl, and Mortis. Now, Mortis can be okay in Brawl Ball if you're really good with him, but this map is going to be filled with lots of tanks, and that's just not a good matchup for Mortis. So unless you're just the best Mortis player around, even then, probably still don't play him. Now, after you pass Brawl Ball, things are going to get interesting because we're moving on to some brand new maps. And the first of those new maps is Crossroads. Now, this map is interesting because it can easily set up as a base race, so you're going to want to keep that in mind. The best strategy here is to leave 1 brawler on defense while 2 other brawlers go and attack the safe. And for those brawlers, you're going to want to take a look at Colt, Brock, and B. There is a lot of long-range brawlers that are going to show up on this map because the lanes are very defined, and you're going to be able to cover a lot and can kind of control each lane. Now, if you can get like Brock on the very far left-hand side, shooting over that water onto the safe, just dodging, whoever's on defense on the other side, then cool, you can do that. Even if, you leave 1 person on defense, say like a B, if she's able to not necessarily prevent all damage from the safe, but at least hold off the other team long enough that you're able to really do a ton of damage on the enemy safe, you're going to be having a good time. Now, Brock is a really good choice for this map, and again, you want to play him on the left-hand side, shooting over that water on towards the safe, as well as you can use his gadget to hop from one lane to the other, giving yourself access to other places where the enemy brawlers coming at you aren't going to be able to reach you. Colt is great here because he does so much damage, and of course, everybody's coming down one lane. If you can hit your shots with Colt, you are going to be doing a ton of damage, and you're going to get a lot of supers, and consequently, you are going to destroy the enemy team's safe. As for B, she is going to play over on the right-hand side. Mainly her job here is defense. Because she's got so much damage, she can hit those shots with that charge shot. She does put so much pressure on the enemy team that it's going to make it very hard, and then she can use her slow to, slow them down even more. So again, leave 1 person on defense, send 2 over to attack, and you're going to be looking pretty darn good. Some alternatives that you can play on this map as well, according to Spin, are Max, Piper, Spike, BB, Daryl, and Rico. Some ones you do not want to play are 8-Bit, Mortis, Carl, and Nani. This one is going to be a very interesting one because I've actually never played this map live, so I can't really give you a great recommendation. Spin's been scrimming in it in here for a couple weeks now, so he's just really starting to form, some opinions on the map and how it could be. So this is kind of a tricky one. So it's really going to depend on your team comp and what the other team's playing. If something's not working for you, feel free to switch it up and try some of those other brawlers that we suggested. After that, you're going to be moving on to another new map in Siege called Olive Branch. This is a fun map, and it's definitely very lane-based, meaning you are going to have a lot of 1v1 interactions that you are going to need to win if your team is going to do well. According to Spin, the best brawlers that you can play on this map are Sprout, BB, and Brock. Now with Sprout, you're going to want him to play in the middle. That way he can shoot not only up the middle, but over the walls to either side and help out whichever teammate needs it. Playing Sprout in the middle is also a good idea because not only can he chip in on both sides, but in the middle he can create a wall that spans from the left to the right wall, completely blocking off either the enemy or the other team's siege robot that comes down will have to walk around the wall, buying your team more time to kill it. Brock, of course, is a very simple role. You're going to be playing on one of the sides, either or, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to use that incendiary star power, not only to help kill the person who is on your lane, but also to add extra damage to that Ike when you get the opportunity. And BB is going to be using her home run star power. Her main job is just collecting bolts. She's going to be running up the field, collecting as many as she can, as well as playing a big role in defense against that siege robot. For this map, it's very important to be able to kill the siege robot as quick as possible. Don't be afraid to let the siege robot go, fall back, collect those bolts, gain control, and get it in on the next one. Some other good brawlers that you can play in the mid are Jean, Pam, and Brock. Pam just covers so much ground, and so does Jean. Jean gives you some extra utility with that pull to get the Ike or the siege robot away from the Ike. And then Pam, she just does so much damage and has so much utility that she's just a really great option. Some other good options for the lanes are Pam, Daryl, Piper, and Barley. Of course, Barley can throw over the lane into the center as well as cover his as well. If he can take care of the person on his side, he can put a ton of pressure, really forcing back the person who is in the mid. Some brawlers that you do not want to play are 8-Bit, Carl, again, Mortis, and Nani. Seems like these brawlers are coming up quite often. Rip them. Now, after you made it through Siege, you're going to be heading into the last set, which is going to be the toughest, and that's Bounty. Before we cover that, I just want to give a personal shout out to Spin. Thank you so much for lending your expertise and your experience to this guide. He is such a better player than me or most other players that it's really nice of him to lend his time to help write up this guide for me to share with you all. So you guys go over to his channel. The link to his channel is going to be in the description. You guys be sure to go check that out and show him some love. Tell him Lex sent you. Also, when you go in to play this challenge, be sure to either go in with a team, of your friends or your, bandmates or whatever, or use the looking for team feature. If you go in with randoms, you're going to have a tough time. So if you don't have any friends, be sure to use the looking for team feature because that'll really help you out picking out your comps and, give you a better shot of winning. All right, moving into the very final map, Heatwave, which is a new bounty map. On this map, according to Spin, the best comp that you can play is Jean, Jackie, and Brock. Now, Jean is really good on this map because of the amount of grass that is present. You're going to be able to pick out brawlers, poke and poke until you can find them. Your teammates are going to know where they are, and you're going to be able to use your pull to yank other brawlers in and get an easy kill. Jackie is really good on this map because she's able to move up in the grass and just use her presence and positioning to go ahead and get a kill against some of those squishy brawlers. Whenever you find an opportunity with Jackie, use that gadget, get yourself into position, and you can burst down those long-range brawlers really quick. Spin also says, don't always worry about having to try to make a play at all times with Jackie. Just using your position, using your presence on the field, sometimes that's enough to force the brawlers into a position that they don't want to be in, and you're going to be able to get the kills just by using her presence on the field. Now with Brock, you're going to want to be able to use that incendiary star power and mainly live over on the right-hand side. There's a long lane of grass. You can use that to your advantage, using not only the incendiary to leave a small patch of grass on the field so that, if brawlers are trying to sneak, you'll be able to find them, but also that long distance in there and then poking in towards the middle of the map wherever you see fit. Some other good mids that you can use here instead of Jean are Brock and Sandy. Sandy's really good, of course, using that super to go ahead and, use it to sneak up on other brawlers and get that quick kill. And then Brock, of course, is just going to be overall good on this map with that incendiary star power, using that super, busting down the walls, and giving your team a chance to get some kills. Some other good replacements for Jackie on this map are Rosa and Frank. Now, both of them you're going to want to play in a very similar fashion, using the positioning, forcing the other brawlers into uncomfortable positions, and then when you see the opportunity to get that kill, don't just run in and feed stars over and over again. Be patient, wait for that opportunity. And with the amount of walls on this map, Rico and Barley can both work really well. Some brawlers you do not want to play are 8-Bit and Carl. Same brawlers that you've seen pretty much this entire guide. Don't play 8-Bit or Carl. Play Sprout if you have them. You do those, you're going to be doing pretty well. On this map, you're going to see a lot of tanks, a lot of heavy hitters. So watch out for them sneaking around on the grass. Don't let them, get you into a bad position near the spawn where they're stuck in the grass and you can't get out of it. Similar to Hard Rock Mine and Gym Grab, where if you get somebody in your grass right in front of your spawn, you're going to have a tough time getting out of that position and you're going to put your team in a big deficit. So make sure that they're not able to sneak around in the grass. Even if Brock has a super, he can use it over on the left-hand side on that long lane of grass so that nobody's able to sneak in on you. Piper can work, but it's going to be tricky because of the amount of walls, the angles that you're going to be forced into shooting, maybe not get the most amount of damage, so use Piper with caution. The best brawler here is Brock. Be sure to take a Brock if you have him and if you feel comfortable playing with him. If you don't want to use Brock, a Poco is actually pretty decent here as well. And of course in Bounty, always play for your life, not for the kill. If you have an option of getting a kill, but you may die in the process, don't do it. Play conservatively, get some health back, and then get those kills when you find the opportunity. Don't overextend. Don't give the other team more stars than you would get. So that's going to wrap it up for this 15-win challenge. Now, of course, above anything, above every brawler pick, your skill and how well you play with your teammates trumps everything that I've just said. So if you play the best brawlers, but you play really crappy, you're not going to win. If you play some average brawlers, but you play really good, you're probably going to do just fine. Again, make sure to use the looking for team feature or play with your friends. Going in as a team, you are going to have a vastly better chance to win than you will be if you go in with randoms. You guys let me know how you did in the championship challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helps you out getting those star points. And as always, until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out. Now, once again, Spin LC, the championship of the world